Here at Nationwide Arena tonight, the Blue Jackets take on the St. Louis Blues. I'm Bob McElligott alongside of Jody, Shelley, and it's time for another morning skate edition of the Inside Edge. These two teams are meeting for the first time this year. Jody, it just seems really weird because they used to be Central Division rivals. You'd play 4 or 5 times a year. You got to really dislike the opposition, and now you're down to just 2 games a season. But for the Blue Jackets, it's 2 games against one of the best teams in the NHL.
Yeah, and it comes at a great time. Blue Jackets have started December the right way. They had a great emotional victory the other night against some former teammates for a lot of these guys that were, jacked up to play, and against a team in New York that was really struggling. And the Blue Jackets came out from the get-go and really dictated play for the entire game. And here they come back at their own building in Nationwide Arena. The St. Louis Blues are here waiting for them, and they're one of the best teams in the league. Like you said, they're big, they're fast, they're skilled. They play a game that's pretty clear as to how they play the game. They're strong on puck battles. They can move the puck very well, and they're on the same page as far as system-wise, which takes out any hesitation in their game. So that makes them even faster. I spoke with Nick Foligno this morning, and he said, "Love this challenge. Love having this team in here in the St. Louis Blues, and only losing 6 games all year. They're a team that plays a physical style," and he said there's no room to hide out there tonight. So these guys love it. So the way the Blue Jackets are playing, the way they've been speaking this morning, they accept this challenge, and they're looking forward to tonight.
As you were talking, and you talk about how the Blue Jackets are playing this month, I kind of chuckled to myself because I remember coming out of November, which wasn't the best month for the Blue Jackets, and then winning the first 2 games in December. You were Mr. Positive, saying, hey, 2-0 in December, 2-0. But it's true. Now it's a 4-1 in the month of December. And that 2-0 starts to breed a little bit of confidence with this team. And I'm sure that victory at Madison Square Garden 2 nights ago breeds some confidence as well. And if you're going to play the St. Louis Blues right now, I would think, and correct me if I'm wrong, the best place to play them would be right here at Nationwide Arena.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And Mr. Positive, well, listen, after November, and it was so disappointing in a lot of senses, the team was on a stretch where they'd win one, lose one, win one, lose one. But I think if you can put together a few good months, you look at the season as segments as a player, and so you can split it up however you want. 5-game segments, 10-game segments, it's funny how when you can turn the page on a month, and the way the Blue Jackets did it, getting players back, and Dubinsky, Calvert, Jenner, who are in and out of the lineup. They lose a couple extras, but really they're guys that really force their identity, and you get that back. You get into December, out of November. If you can get this month going, you have to have a month of moving, and you have to start it in December if you really want to have a real legitimate run at it late in the year. So good on them. You can tell, Bob, we've been in the room, we've been on the bus, we've been on the plane with these guys. There's a good feeling. There's a good feeling around this group. It's business. And I kind of got the sense when we got on that plane leaving New York to come back here, they knew St. Louis was already in town waiting. You could sense that they're ready for this challenge at that point. They know that they have a tall task, and they're ready, and they know they're going to have to work for 60-plus minutes here tonight. And you can talk about it, but and get away with it sometimes. But if you don't do it tonight against this team in St. Louis, who knows how to win, we can tell by their record, it's 21-6-3. If you don't do it for 60 minutes, they can make you look foolish.
I think that's a very good perspective that you say as a player, you break it down by segments, because I can fall into that fan category where 1 loss, 2 losses, now all of a sudden it's the end of the world, nothing's going right. But as a player, you cannot get into that mindset. I think that's why you balance me out so very nicely.
Well, that's a good point on both those things, Bob. I balance you out nicely. Thank you. But you could actually look back at that segment of that month when a lot of players were out and things were kind of in disarray and think, geez, it's a good thing they went 500 for that 2-week span because, win one, lose one, win one, lose one. It's 500, and the Blue Jackets are not at 500 hockey. They have a chance here tonight to get to 15-15-3. Would put them in a great position in the Metro Division, which I think the Blue Jackets are really lucky to be a part of. But in saying that, they have to jump through doors when the opportunities are open with those doors. And, tonight I think they have to be focused on their effort mostly, on their game. They know what's going to be coming at them, but if they're focused on how they've been playing, Even in the Pittsburgh game was a loss. I like the way they played. I like the way they started the game. So focus on that. Give yourself a chance for the end result. Play a simple, almost like a road game here tonight where, okay, don't put a show on for your fans. Just play with good support, good puck management, stay out of the box, and you really are going to give yourself a good chance here tonight because it's a work ethic team to beat this. Columbus is a work ethic team to beat this St. Louis team here tonight.
Talk about getting off to a good start and all of those things and playing a road game at home. You're right. The only show that fans care about is who gets the 2 points at the end. You can play a boring game and win, and everybody leaves happy. And the St. Louis Blues, not only are they 21-6-3, as you said, on the year, but they are also 8-4-1 on the road. So they're a very good road team, and you have to be aware of that here tonight. Now, the St. Louis Blues are being led by Alexander Steen. This is a guy that's got a lot of talent. In fact, when I talked with Todd Richards this morning, I said, are you surprised that he's got the 35 points, 22 goals on the year? And he said, you know what, I might be surprised he has that many goals, but I'm not surprised he's scoring because he has such talent. And for him, it really is just a breakout season so far.
It is. I mean, Alexander Steen was in Toronto, and we saw him, and he was kind of that player, that third-line depth player. He would kill penalties and was in and out of the lineup, I think, with a few different reasons. But, here he is. He's leading the team in points. He's really benefiting from, I guess, the system in place and the style they play, and he's complementing his line mates well. And for him, good for him. I mean, that's one of those things. If you can stay in the league long enough to find a role that you get rewarded in points or whatever it is, whatever position you play, if it's goaltending, I guess it's in wins and losses. It's really nice to see that. And it's great to see a player like him who's worked hard and been in different roles in different situations around the league to emerge. He's a very underrated player, I guess. I didn't even know anything about him until I heard JD, John Davidson, speaking of him last week. He's got his really left his mark, or this is his mark actually, on the St. Louis Blues team, who was really struggling before he got there. And boy, he's got to be proud here tonight of if he's going to be sitting up there in the box, he's going to be looking down on a team. He's helped take out of the basement and really created a different feel for the whole organization. One of the elite teams in the league, and here he's got a team in Columbus that he's just freshly working with, but can see where he's headed with them, and I'd say he'll be watching this game pretty proudly tonight.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was thinking the same thing. You watch these guys skate around. We're talking about all of these, giving accolades to St. Louis, and John Davidson is the guy that was in charge when they built this thing. Now, they've added pieces to it here and there. They've tweaked it a little bit. There's no question about that. But when you're looking at the Blue Jackets, just look at the St. Louis Blues and see what was done there, because he's still following the same pattern. The blueprint is already there, pardon the pun, or the blues print, I guess I should say. But it's already there, just trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, and he actually mentioned, I heard him in an interview earlier this year, that there's more pieces in place here in the Columbus Blue Jackets when he got here than there was in St. Louis. And you got to look and you can see around who he's talking about, the young draft picks, the Johanssons, the Murrays, the Jenner. I mean, these are recent guys, but these are pieces that are falling in place, and guys that have been here. McKenzie's a big part of it. He's one of the older guys in the room, or the oldest guy, but he's a piece that, you look at this St. Louis Blues team that are on the ice in front of us. They're all big guys. They all get along well. There's no flash or dash. There's no holes as far as softness. They have an identity, and I feel like there's no phoniness on that team. So when you have that and you feel like John Davidson wants to get that type of thing in here, it's very intimidating to watch that as a player, but it's very exciting to be a part of.
Let me ask you this from a player's standpoint. You're the Blue Jackets. You're down to the number 3 goalie in the organization right now, who has to make the start tonight because the first 2 guys are out. And, oh, by the way, the number 1 guy was the Vezina Trophy winner last year. As a player, does that enter into your mind? Do you even care? Is it just about doing your job and having confidence in that guy?
It's hard to say that you don't care or you don't think about it. Of course you think about it. I mean, if I'm coming back to the defensive zone, or I turn over the puck and Sergei Bobrovsky's in net, you kind of feel like, okay, he's probably going to bail me out, and you kind of play a little more laxed in some situations. But when there's a guy, a backup or a third string or what, it doesn't matter where it is, in the net, I think you pay a little more attention to detail on your own end. Your responsibility, you always know what it is, but instead of trying a little move or a little pass, I think you make sure you get that out, because there's something about locking it down in your own end, and I feel that the Blue Jackets have really had that mindset here lately. And now, I mean, two reasons. Tonight with the St. Louis Blues, you cannot do anything to shoot yourself in the foot, so to speak, because they will jump all over it. So manage the puck well, and that starts in your own end. And having that guy McKenna in your net, nothing against McKenna, it's just a natural thing. Help him out, protect him, make sure you make that play, not only for the team, but for Mike McKenna.
All right, you're going to be back between the benches tonight on Fox Sports Ohio. I got to be honest with you. I was sitting across the ice from you at Madison Square Garden, and you were sharing that space with a guy from the MSG Network. He had his face out there over the ice, leaning over the boards. Yeah. Now, what is he nuts, or are you just smarter than he is?
John Jones, his name. John took a puck in the head earlier this season, and he continued with his job. He had a gash, if the blood was running down his face. He thought that would be good TV. Let me tell you what. If that happens to me over there, Bob, between the benches, I'm going to immediately jump on the ice and run back in the hallway, and you will not see me again, because I will be bitter, first of all. But, and second of all, I don't want to get stitches. I've had enough of those. I don't know if there's anywhere to put a stitch in my face, actually. Well, listen, I will not be hanging over the edge. There's no chance. It's not, John was getting into it. I was quite happy to sit back, and I might take my headset off tonight, though, and try to listen. I'm going to try to hear how Ken Hitchcock is going to be, especially if the Blue Jackets get up. I know he can turn into quite the negative tone on that bench sometimes. So if there's that going on, I'll definitely relay that up to Bill and Jeff. But there'll be no hanging over. I'm going to keep this beautiful face inside the bench.
That's right. Your career's over now. You're looking to try to fix that thing up, right?
Yeah, I got some work to do.
All right. Jody Shelley will be on Fox Sports Ohio tonight. Of course, I'll be on the Blue Jackets Radio Network alongside of George Matthews this evening. The game gets underway at 7 o'clock here at Nationwide Arena. The gates will open at 6 tonight. We hope that you can join us. That'll do it for this morning skate edition of the Inside Edge. For Jody Shelley, I'm Bob McElligott, and thanks for clicking on us right here at BlueJackets.com.